Greetings, brothers. You ask me of life on Nocturne, and I tell you, this life upon our world is not lived, it is endured. It is not granted, it is earned. For Nocturne is a crucible, and all who dwell upon her surface are the ore from which strength is drawn. The fire does not show mercy, it never has. And yet, beneath that merciless heat, something greater is forged, something that even the void itself cannot extinguish. Nocturne. The name carries weight, even in the hearts of those who have never stood beneath its burning skies. The uninitiated. Imagine a world of endless volcanoes and rivers of molten rock, a wasteland of smoke and fire. They are not wrong, but they do not understand. They do not see the soul that burns within that hellish world. A soul born of endurance, of creation, of the unyielding will to be. Our home orbits Prometheus, a pair of suns locked in eternal embrace. Their light is fierce and unforgiving, searing the plains by day and casting them into twilight by night. The surface cracks, splits, reforms. Mountains rise and fall in the span of decades. Whole continents breathe like living things, inhaling in fire, exhaling in ash. It is a world that lives and dies and lives again, forever. The people of Nocturne are born into this rhythm. From their first breath, they know the earth is alive beneath them. They learn early to feel the tremors in the ground, to sense the whisper of the next eruption in the air. They are taught not to fear the fire, but to listen to it. The old tribes say that every flame has a voice, and that if you hear it clearly, it will tell you what is to come. I remember those days well, before I was taken to the mountains to begin my trials. My village was small, no more than a ring of black stone huts surrounding a single forge. The forge was the heart, as it is for every tribe. Its light never went out. Its fire was fed by all, from the youngest child to the eldest smith. Around it, we gathered when the storms came, when the tremors grew violent, when the night grew too cold even for courage. My mother was a forge master, a woman of strength and scars. Her hands were burned so deeply that her fingers looked carved from obsidian. Yet, when she worked, the metal sang beneath her hammer. She would say, "The fire takes, but it also gives. It gives strength to those who refuse to yield." She taught me that no blow struck in the forge is wasted. Even a flawed strike teaches you the sound of truth. I have carried that lesson through 10,000 battles. Our tribe worshipped the flame as we would a god. We did not pray to it for mercy. We offered ourselves to it in trust. When a child reached their 7th year, they placed their hand above the forge flame, not to prove courage, but to understand fear. To feel its bite and learn that fear, when mastered, becomes strength. Many flinched. Some did not, but all learned the lesson. The tribes of Nocturne are scattered across valleys and mountain ridges, separated by fields of cooling magma and rivers of ash. Travel between them is perilous, for the land itself shifts without warning. But those who dare the journey do so in faith. For when one tribe's forge grows dim, another will share their flame. To deny a traveler your fire is the greatest sin known among us. The fire belongs to all, for all are tested by it. Even now, as sons of Vulcan, we keep that tradition alive. In the void, when the cold gnaws at the heart, we share the warmth of the forge with our brothers. When one falters, we lend him our flame. For we are all sparks from the same fire, and the loss of one light dims us all. At night, Nocturne sleeps uneasily. The horizon glows with molten veins. and the twin suns sink into a haze of ember clouds. In that half-light, the tribes tell their stories. I remember the elders speaking of the father, of Vulcan, not as a god, but as the first of men who learned to command the flame without being consumed by it. They said he walked from the heart of Mount Deathfire itself, his skin black as obsidian, his eyes burning with the soul of the world. He came bearing no weapon, only the forge. And where he walked, the tribes found peace. To live upon Nocturne is to live in constant reminder of him. Every mountain bears his mark. Every river of lava traces his memory. We do not need statues or monuments. The land itself is his shrine. And yet, life there is not all pain. There is beauty in the fire, if you learn to see it. When the eruptions fade and the skies clear, the air fills with drifting ash that sparkles like snow beneath the suns. The plains shimmer like molten glass, and the night glows faintly red, as if the world itself were still alive beneath your feet. To walk through that light is to feel the heartbeat of the planet, slow and deep and eternal. We hunted the great drakes that roam the volcanic plains. To face one was to stare into the living embodiment of the flame. Their scales were like liquid metal, their breath pure fire. We did not hunt them for glory or for food, but for understanding. To stand before a creature born entirely of the fire, and to not falter, that was the trial of manhood. Those who returned carried a scar burned into their chest, not as punishment, but as mark of acceptance. They had faced the fire and lived. When I became of age, I was chosen for the trial of ascension. I was taken to the slopes of Mount Deathfire, where the chapter's fortress monastery casts its shadow over the valley. There, amid the roar of molten rivers, I saw the sons of Vulcan for the first time. They were giants, their armor aglow with the reflected light of the forge. To my eyes, they were living gods, but they did not look upon us with disdain. They knelt before the flames beside us. That was the first lesson the Salamanders teach, that even those made in the Father's image must still honor the fire that made them. Many of us did not survive the trials. The mountain claimed those unready. The heat broke them, or the beasts did. But those who endured were changed forever. When I was taken into the chapter, when the gene seed burned its way through my veins and I awoke to new strength, I understood at last what my mother meant when she said the fire takes but also gives. The life of a salamander is only a continuation of life upon Nocturne. The trials never cease. The forge never cools. We are still shaped, every day, by the heat of battle, by the loss of brothers, by the weight of our duty. The world may change, but the lesson does not endure and be reforged. You have heard what it is to live upon the skin of the world, but now I will tell you what it is to live within its heart. For Nocturne is not merely stone and flame, it is memory. It remembers every soul that has walked upon it, every hammer that has struck an anvil, every oath spoken into the fire. The mountains whisper those oaths back to us, though few now remember how to listen. The people of Nocturne do not build temples of stone. Their temples are the forges, and their prayers are the ringing of hammers. Each strike is a plea, each spark a vow. They believe that when metal meets metal in honest labor, the spirit of Vulcan himself takes notice. The smith who works with truth in his heart and courage in his hands is closer to the Father than any priest could ever be. In the lowlands, the tribes gather once every season for the Festival of Embers. It is not a celebration of plenty, for Nocturne has little to give, but a celebration of endurance. For 7 nights, the forges are open to the sky, and every fire burns in unison. The glow can be seen from the mountains, a sea of red light spread across the valleys. Children dance with torches, their laughter mingling with the roar of molten rivers. The elders tell the tale of the father's forging, how Vulcan shaped the first tools and taught men to build instead of destroy. When I was a child, I stood among them, feeling the heat on my face, listening to the thunder of the drums. They say that on the final night of the festival, if the flame burns pure, Vulcan himself watches from the heavens. I remember looking up, hoping to see him, half believing I did. Even now, centuries later, I still recall that feeling not of awe, but of belonging. For in that moment, the people of Nocturne are united, all bound by the same light. But the world tests even the faithful. When the quakes come, when the mountains split and the sky rains ash, the tribes must flee. Many are lost in the firestorms, villages vanish overnight. Yet always, they rebuild. That is what it means to be of Nocturne, to rise from the ashes, again and again, without bitterness. The people have learned that nothing worth keeping can be held without pain. And from that truth was born the Promethean Creed. It is not a written doctrine, but a way of being a covenant between man, flame, and faith. It teaches patience, humility, and sacrifice. To master the fire, one must first be willing to be remade by it. That creed is the lifeblood of our chapter. It is why we fight as we do, why we value creation as much as destruction. The forge is our altar, and upon it, we place our pride to be burned away. There are those in the wider Imperium who do not understand us. They see our compassion for mortals as weakness. They see our reverence for craft as distraction. They are wrong. Mercy is not weakness, it is strength disciplined. To wield power and choose restraint is to command the fire, not be ruled by it. That is what the Father taught us through his example. When we speak of the Promethean way, we speak not only of the forge, but of the heart. For every salamander carries within him a spark of Nocturne's flame, the memory of struggle, the will to protect. We are not like other Astartes. We remember the names of those we save. We build as fiercely as we destroy. Our weapons are made not to glorify death, but to defend life. Every bolt shell we craft, every hammer we raise, bears the weight of that oath. In the old days, before the stars called us away, the people of Nocturne would send offerings into the mountains. Weapons forged from their own hands, engraved with the names of their ancestors. They believed that when the fire took those weapons, the souls of their kin would find rest. Even now, within the chapter's great forge, we keep that tradition. When a brother falls, we melt down his arms and fold their essence into the next blade. In this way, no salamander is ever truly lost. Their spirit endures within the tools of their brothers, their fire continuing to burn long after the flesh is gone. I remember the first time I stood within the Soul Forge, watching the relics of fallen kin consumed by the fire. The smell of burning oil, the sound of molten metal, hissing as it flowed into new molds. It was not death I felt, but rebirth. The forge teaches that nothing ends, only changes. Even the ashes have purpose. The people of Nocturne live by that same truth. When a loved one dies, their ashes are mixed with the soil around the tribe's forge. From that soil, black lilies grow rare, and beautiful things that bloom only in the heat. To see one is to remember the cost of endurance and the grace that follows it. Some of you may think that such tenderness does not belong in war. But I say to you, it is what makes us strong. To love, to protect, to mourn. These are not weaknesses. They are the very proof of our humanity. Without them, the flame would consume us utterly. Vulcan understood this better than any. He taught that to bear the fire without compassion is to become a weapon without a purpose. There are nights when I dream I still see Nocturne, as it was the molten horizon, the smell of ash and rain, the sound of hammers in the distance. I see my mother's forge, the orange light spilling across her face as she worked. I hear her say, "Do not curse the fire, my son. Thank it, for it shows you who you are." She was right, for in the forge, you cannot hide from truth. The heat strips away pretense, leaving only what is pure. That is the spirit of Nocturne, not the fire that destroys, but the fire that reveals. The fire that burns away the false and leaves behind only the true. There is a saying among the old forge masters of Hesiod's Reach. The flame that forgets its hearth burns itself to ash. So too is it with us. We are sons of Nocturne, no matter how far the stars drag us from her surface. Her breath is in our lungs, her soot upon our armor, her fire in our hearts. We may walk the coldest voids of the galaxy, fight upon worlds of glass and ice, but the memory of that burning sky never leaves us. When a salamander has served long among the stars, he is called back to Nocturne for what we name the return to flame. It is no mere ceremony, it is a reckoning. We strip ourselves of armor and walk again upon the black sands. The heat bites as it once did. The ground trembles beneath the hammer song of the mountains. We remember the weight of mortality, of frailty, of the blood that birthed us. Some of us find peace in it, others, answers. A few find nothing but silence, and yet even that silence speaks. For Nocturne's silence is never empty. It hums with the heartbeat of the world, the same rhythm that once echoed in Vulcan's forge. I have walked that path many times. Each time, I have left something behind. Pride, grief, anger. All of it burns away in the long walk through the ash. When you return from that pilgrimage, you are not reborn, you are tempered. The fire has measured you, found what is weak, and cast it aside. The man who remains is steel. Those of us who survive long enough to become masters of the forge or chaplains often make one last journey home, not to be cleansed, but to bear witness. We visit the training grounds of the initiates, the forges of the tribes, the halls of remembrance, where the names of our fallen burn in runes of red light. There, among our kin, we remember what it is we fight for. Not glory, not conquest, but continuance, to ensure that those fires, those songs, those lives never fade. The Imperium sees worlds as resources. Forge worlds, hive worlds, death worlds, tools in the great machine of survival. But to us, Nocturne is not a tool, it is a covenant. Every brother who falls, every weapon we raise, every act of mercy we perform in battle is a promise to that world. A promise that its light will not go out. There are nights upon the battlefront when I have looked to the horizon and thought of Nocturne's sky, that endless furnace of gold and crimson. I can smell the sulfur, taste the heat in my throat, feel the old calluses on my palms where the forge once kissed me. In those moments, I remember why we endure. Not because the Emperor commands it, not because Vulcan wills it, but because the fire that made us still burns within us. You see, brother, to live on Nocturne is to understand transience. The land itself is never still. Mountains rise and fall. Villages vanish beneath rivers of flame. The very soil shifts with each breath of the planet. And yet life persists, stubborn, fierce, unyielding. The people build again. The forges are relit. The songs resume. Every cycle of destruction is met with equal creation. That is the truest expression of our creed. Not victory, but endurance through renewal. When the young initiates of the chapter first set foot upon Nocturne for their trials, many are afraid. The heat, the darkness, the unpredictable quakes all seem to conspire against them. But what they learn, slowly, painfully, is that the world is not their enemy. The world is their teacher. Every scar it leaves upon them is a lesson. The burns teach respect. The storms teach patience. The darkness teaches trust, not in sight, but in spirit. I remember my own trial. I was but a child, barely strong enough to hold the hammer. They sent us into the ashen flats with nothing but our wits and a shard of obsidian. The nights were long and cruel, the ground too hot to sleep upon. I remember staring into the molten horizon and thinking, this is how gods are born, not in light, but in struggle. When I returned, half-starved and burned, I carried not pride, but humility. The Forge had shown me that power without purpose is only destruction waiting for direction. Many of our brothers from other chapters do not understand this. They see the flame as a weapon, not a teacher. They temper their steel, but not their souls. Yet the fire tests all things. It burns away the lies we tell ourselves. In that way, Nocturne is the truest reflection of the Emperor's will. Not merciful, not cruel, but just. There is a valley upon Nocturne called Terrell's Spine, where ancient statues carved by the first smiths still stand. They are half buried now, worn by centuries of ash and wind, but their eyes still glow faintly from veins of molten ore beneath the rock. It is said that when Vulcan walked the world, he came there to rest, and the statues rose in his image to honor his passage. Whether true or not, I cannot say. But I have seen brothers kneel before those half-buried faces and weep, for they feel the Father's gaze upon them even now. It is in those places, in the quiet between eruptions, that the spirit of Nocturne speaks loudest. It tells us that nothing forged in truth is ever lost, that even in ruin, beauty endures, that even when the light seems swallowed, the ember beneath still glows. That, brother, is the heart of our home. I have spoken with mortals from distant worlds who ask me what it is like to live in such a place. They cannot imagine the heat, the storms, the constant threat of death. They ask, why not leave? I tell them because to live in comfort is to forget what it means to be alive. On Nocturne, every breath is a triumph, every day a victory. There is no false peace there, no gilded walls to hide behind. Only fire, and the truth that it brings. And perhaps that is why we are as we are. Why our hearts burn so fiercely for the weak, the lost, the helpless. Because we have lived the frailty of flesh. We have felt the fire that takes without warning. We know what it is to stand upon the edge of destruction and still choose to build. That is compassion, brother, not softness, but strength made sacred. Nocturne is a crucible that never cools. It shapes the people, the metal, and the soul in equal measure. And when we leave it behind for the stars, we do not escape it. We carry it within us. The hiss of plasma, the rumble of thunder, the glow of molten steel, they remind us who we are. Even now, as I speak to you, I can feel the pull of that world beneath my skin. It is more than gravity. It is heritage, destiny, and love. When my time comes to return to the Forge for the last time, I will not go in sorrow. I will go in gratitude. For Nocturne has given me everything. My strength, my brothers, my fire, my faith. The galaxy may forget us, brother. Empires will fall, stars will fade. The void will reclaim all things. But so long as one ember of Nocturne still glows in the heart of a salamander, the Father's light endures. And when Vulcan returns as he must, as he will, I believe he will not find us diminished. He will find us waiting, Our hammers ready, our forges burning, our hearts alight with the same flame that first shaped his hand. That is life on Nocturne, brother. It is not a place. It is a promise. And we are its keepers. There comes a time, at the end of every forge, when the fire dims and the hammers fall silent. The air stills, the metal cools, the heat that once roared now hums quietly in the bones. It is in that silence that we hear the truth of Nocturne most clearly. For silence is not death, it is rest. It is the moment before rebirth. When I stand before the forge at the end of my vigil, I think of all who came before. The tribes who tamed the storms. The smiths who forged without fear. The brothers who gave their lives to keep the fire alive. Their names are burned into my memory, as bright as the coals. They are the foundation upon which we stand. Without them, we would be nothing. Ash upon the wind, sparks lost to the void. And yet, we are not lost. We endure. Because that is the way of the flame. It dies only to rise again. It consumes only to create anew. Even in the blackest night, when the stars themselves seem cold, the fire whispers endure. That is the first and final command of Vulcan, the creed of the Promethean soul, the heartbeat of Nocturne. Remember this, brother. The fire is not our enemy. It is our mirror. It shows us who we are, stripped of fear and pride. It tests us, not to break us, but to reveal our truth. Every burn, every scar, every hardship. These are not punishments. They are lessons. Proof that we have faced the storm and still stand. The flame only devours the hollow. The strong, it tempers. The worthy, it sanctifies. There will be times when the galaxy feels colder than the void itself. When duty weighs heavier than your armor. When you wonder if the light you carry still matters. In those moments, close your eyes and remember the warmth of Nocturne. Remember the glow of the forges, the laughter of the tribes, the songs of the smiths echoing through the mountains. Remember that you are not alone. Every brother who walks beside you carries that same light. Every forge burns with the same purpose. We are one flame, divided only by distance. When the fire burns low within you, find another's and share in its warmth. That is what it means to be of Nocturne. To give when all is taken. To protect when all seems lost. To build even in the shadow of destruction. For as long as one brother endures, the fire will never truly die. I have seen worlds burn, brother. I have seen the Emperor's angels fall to darkness, and great heroes forgotten. But I have never seen the fire of Nocturne fail. Even in ruin, it flickers still. Even in despair, it whispers of hope. That is our inheritance, not perfection, but persistence. When your hammer feels heavy, when your armor feels cold, when the void seems endless, remember this. You are the child of a burning world. Your blood is molten, your spirit forged in pain and patience. You were not made for comfort, but for endurance. The fire within you is older than the stars. Let it burn. And one day, when Vulcan returns not as myth, but as truth, he will look upon his sons and see that the fire he lit has never faltered. He will see that we have kept the light, even through the longest night. And in that moment, brother, every pain, every trial, every scar will have meaning. So until that day, keep the flame. Carry it in your heart, in your craft, in your mercy. Let it guide your hand and temper your wrath. When you strike, do so with purpose. When you forge, do so with love. When you speak, let your words bear the weight of flame, warm to the worthy, and consuming to the corrupt. For that is what it means to live as the sons of Nocturne. To forge not only weapons, but hope. To carry not only the Emperor's will, but Vulcan's mercy. To be the fire that endures when all else fades. Go now, brother. The forge calls. The embers wait to be stirred anew. And though distance may lie between us, we are never apart. For the fire unites all who carry it. Until we speak again, keep your heart steady, your spirit tempered, your soul alight. Through the fire, we are made. Through the fire, we endure. Through the fire, we remember. Now go, and let the galaxy feel the warmth of Nocturne.